What's going on? Aaron Goldsten here. Let's get right into it. What we're going to talk about in this video today is Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow Quadrant and what's the most effective way to move through it. I want to share with you guys and explain what this quadrant is and the most effective way to go from E to S to B and to B to I. Because there's actually a method, a formula, a system you can follow that will allow you to easily move through these quadrants with very little risk. Most people actually mess this up, and I'm going to explain why. As long as you hang out with me for a minute or two, watch this video till the end, you will know why most people actually mess this up, and they spend years making mistakes. The reason I know this is I did this myself. I'm going to show you how to avoid all that. I'm going to show you how to, hopefully, if someone shared this with me, I probably would I'd be a lot further ahead than where I am now, because I did what everyone tried to do, and I tried to go right to the B and the I side, now realizing the most effective way is to move through the quadrants like this. Because I'm in this process right now, I am like about halfway through the quadrant. I can explain this to you because, I'm doing it myself. Anything I ever share with you in any of my videos is always nuts and bolts strategies. I never share theory, which is why the people that kind of follow me, they like the content I put out. So let's go ahead and talk about this. What we're going to talk about in this video first is we're going to do a summary of this, and then I'm going to show you, regardless of where you are in your life, the most effective, straightforward, and risk-free way, an exact formula that you can copy and model that will allow you to move through the quadrants. Sound good? Let's dive into it. So I read Robert Kiyosaki's book about 10, 11 years ago. I got into the money-making self-improvement space about 12 years ago. And it was kind of interesting because up until that point, I had a job. I was just starting to get a job, and everyone I knew at that point had a job. Mom and dad both had jobs. Neighbors up the street, neighbor down the street had jobs. All my parents' friends had jobs, so I figured I had to get a job. And here Robert Kiyosaki comes along in his Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and he's talking about that you don't actually need a job. You can make money doing other things. And not only can you make money doing other things, the other ways of making money are easier. And this sounded kind of strange to me. But I kind of like the idea because, if you can make good money and you don't really have to work that much, doesn't that sound pretty good? It sounds kind of like a win-win. So basically how this works, and some of you guys have probably heard about this before, is you start off as an employee. An employee, this is where pretty much everyone starts off as. And by the way, it's good to start off here. This is where you're going to go somewhere and you're going to trade time for money. So I used to work at Walmart. I was pushing carts there. I believe I was making $8.10 an hour. So I would go there and I would work 8 hours. And every hour I worked, Walmart would pay me $8.10 an hour. So that was a job. I wasn't going to get rich off it. I wasn't going to go live on a yacht with it. But it was a good start. And most people I talk to and most people I teach, they actually don't like this. This is not bad. It's not bad to start off here. Unless you were born into a lot of money, which I wasn't and most people aren't, you're probably going to need to get a job even if you want to move through the quadrants. Why? Quite simply because these other things take a little bit of time to build. And as you're like building or starting a business, you want to have some money coming in. Alex Becker has talked about this before. It's good to have a job. You want to have it because you kind of want to be able to buy food. You probably want to have a place that you could sleep in. So a job allows you to do that. That doesn't mean we want to stay and having a job. We don't need to stay there forever, but it's not a bad place to start having a job. Then once you have a job, you can go become self-employed. Self-employed is good. Self-employed is where usually you're making pretty good money and you've developed a certain skill set. So I went through this process. I had a job. The last job I had is I worked at T-Mobile. I was making $11 an hour. I ran across a business opportunity that not like a multi-level marketing. It was like an actual real legit business opportunity that allowed me to get to the point where I was making $100,000 a year in profit working about 20, 30 hours a week. I started with no skill set and no money. That was self-employed. What are some examples of this? Maybe you could get good at like making websites, which I actually did for a little bit. I know some people, And, making a website, it takes a while to learn how to make websites, and then you have to get good at selling websites to people. But if you kind of get involved in that kind of space, you could get to the point where, like I was charging $500 to $750 for a website that literally took me 3 to 5 hours to make. So self-employed is where you're usually getting compensated pretty well for your time. Usually every hour of effort you put into whatever you're doing self-employed here, you're probably making $50, $100, maybe even upwards of $200 or $300 an hour. The benefit of this is this allows you to really start to stack up some money, and it gives you some free time as well because, when you go from making 8, 10, I don't know what your situation is right now, but let's say you even have a good job and you're making $25 an hour. When you become self-employed, you can make more and work less. My mom is a good example of this. My mom was a counselor for a number of years. She worked for a counseling company. So she went there, she counseled people, she was here. A few years ago, she decided to open up her own counseling practice. It took her a little bit of time to build it. She just didn't get 20 clients right away. But after a good year of learning how to market, learning how to promote herself, she was able to move into self-employed. She did the same thing she was doing, but instead of working for a company where the company gave her a little bit of money and they took the rest of the money, she now, because it's her own business, all the money she charges goes directly into her pocket. She probably doesn't want me saying the exact numbers, but she's making multiple times what she was making before, and she's working a lot less because she's making all the money. That's self-employed. This is a good situation to be in. This is not bad. However, after you do this for a little bit and you're trading time for money, you're making websites, you're being a counselor, whatever it is, there's a bunch of different things you could do. Whatever it is, eventually you want to move to the next side. You want to become a business owner. A business owner is now you're at the point where you can leverage you're basically can hire people like this. You now over here can hire people like this. What's the benefit of being a business owner? The benefit of being a business owner is you can now use other people's time and skills to help make you money. So me personally, I'm not like a rich, crazy person or anything. I do have 3 businesses that are doing good. One of my businesses last year alone, it did over $506,000. So I'm now kind of transitioning here. I got about a dozen employees. Some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time. But because I'm kind of transitioning over here now, I'm now at the point where I can pay them a little bit of money. And why I pay them good money because the market dictates that the market you pay them money, but I pay them like here, but their efforts produce this, and that's usually how jobs are. A job, if they hire you, and let's say they pay you $15 an hour, if they're paying you $15 an hour with your skills and what you're doing for the company, they're probably getting $20, $30, $40, $50 worth of effort for the company. You're kind of building the company. So you kind of transition over here. McDonald's is a good example. A McDonald's requires a lot of money, right? You got to have like $1 million, $1.5 million to start a McDonald's. What's the benefit of a McDonald's, and why do so many people line up to spend a gazillion trillion dollars to start a McDonald's? It has a system in place. You can have the cash register and the person that makes the food and the person that comes in and cleans up the tables. You can have different employees in place where you're kind of at the top and you might have 10 or 20 employees. They do all the work, and you might be working 5, 10, 15 hours a week on the business, but the majority of the business is built and growing from the employees you hired here. Then finally, the final step is an investor. An investor is someone that they usually open up a lot of businesses. They have a lot of money at this point, usually from the businesses they started, and they can take that money, sometimes millions of dollars, and invest it in things. Maybe, a good transition is someone that starts a business, they grow a business, and after a while they might have 5, 10, 15, $20 million or more. Then they usually put it in something real stable. Real estate, apartment complexes, golf courses, something real stable. The apartment complex isn't going to make you a gazillion dollars. It might, but it's not going to make you a gazillion dollars overnight. But it's stable. It's secure. It might be giving you an ROI of, let's say, 10, 15, 20% a year. So you could put a bunch of money in this, and then you can live off of residual income. Now let's talk about something. Let's talk about how you can go through this process and why most people jump around. So I want to talk about the errors people make, and then I want to talk about how you can move through the process. And then I'm going to give you an example. So most people want to just start a business. I made this mistake. I tried to open up a restaurant. So I put about $35,000 of my own money. This was when I was like 23 or 24. So this was a while ago now. I put that into a restaurant. I said, "Oh, I want to have a business. I want to have employees." So I put all that into a restaurant, and I messed up a bunch of things, and the restaurant never opened, and I lost the $35,000. A lot of people do that, right? Or a lot of people, they'll take out a loan, and maybe they're not going to start a restaurant, but they're going to start, maybe they're going to open up a big a detail shop, or maybe they're going to open up their own. What a lot of people try to do is they try to jump right into the business thing without kind of easing their way into it and without having any money. What you want to do is you want to get this going first. So you want to be an employee. I know you say, "Aaron, I'm going to lose people telling them this." You want to be an employee so you have some money. But as you're an employee, you want to work on becoming self-employed. Because as you're becoming self-employed, you can start to stack up money, right? When I went from making like $11 an hour here to having my first full year in being self-employed, making over $500,000, I was able to stack up some money. Now that I have some money coming in from doing this, and I still do this, I'm able to put money into the business. You guys see that? The benefit of this, though, is because I'm doing self-employed and I got money coming in, let's say something happens to the business, which usually things happen to the business, and let's say I need to throw another 5 or 10 grand in the business. Or let's say I try something with the business and I lose, let's say I lose a few $1,000s. If I try to become an employee where I'm making $8 an hour, $8.10 an hour, and then all of a sudden I need to come up with 5 grand to fund the business because I made a mistake, that might kill me. Hopefully not literally, but that might kill the business, right? Because I'm self-employed and I got some money coming in from this, as I'm working on growing the business, nothing's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. I got some money I can use to kind of fund the business. Does that kind of make sense? So that's the way that I recommend and that I teach people to go ahead as you're moving through the quadrant. Now, what could my mom do? My mom is self-employed now. If she wanted to, but my mom's kind of living a nice life. She's very happy with what she's doing, and she doesn't really, have a desire to make a gazillion dollars. But let's say she does. What could she do? She's now self-employed counselor. She could open up a business. She could hire a couple other employees. And now she could have a couple counselors working for her where, let's say the average client's paying my mom $100 an hour. She could pay them $30 or $40 an hour, and she could pocket the difference and start to use kind of use the skill sets that they have to grow a business. So that's what I recommend. A lot of people, they take out a loan, they put their entire loan into the business. They're going to start a restaurant. They're going to start maybe they're going to start maybe they're going to start a liquor store. Maybe they're going to start a dry cleaning store. So they take out they're over here making $15 an hour. They take out a loan for $100,000 to open up the dry cleaning place. All of a sudden, they're living so, they don't have any room for error. The dry cleaners that the dry cleaning machine breaks down. They need $2,000 to fund it. And then they're kind of screwed. They don't have the money. When you're self-employed and you got $50, $100, $150, $200,000 coming in, you can use that money to fund the business. Then what you do is you fund the business grows, you could eventually sell that business, and then once you have 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million plus, you can then put it into long-term stable things. Again, the apartment complex is probably not going to make you're probably not going to put $5 million into the big apartment complex and the next year turn around and sell it for $20 million, but that apartment complex is going to pay you residually when you do it right? You might be getting 6%, 8%, 10%, 12% return from the apartment complexes, and it's a little bit more solid than a business. Business things can change. You kind of have to be on your feet and adapting. Something like apartment complexes it's a big building. So you put some money into the big building. The big building, it does work for you. The people pay the rent. Every now and then, you might have to do a paint job or do some, snow removal, but it's nothing crazy. So just to summarize everything again, what I recommend doing is get a job, pay some bills. But as you're working the job, when you're not working the job, work on developing a skill that can pay you a lot of money for not a lot of time. Then once you have some money and a skill, use that money and possibly your skills to start a business. Have your money start working for you. Have your money start working for you. Use the money that you have, and then eventually you could sell that business for, let's say, $10 million. Put that money into, let's say, a golf course or an apartment complex. Apartment complex isn't going to pay you you're not going to get rich off the apartment complex, but the people are going to pay the rent. Everything's pretty solid. Things aren't really changing as much with an apartment complex as they can with a business. And then you can just kind of live off the residual income. If you get to that point, and let's say you got, $5,000 a week residually coming in from your apartment complexes, you could live a pretty good life for that. And it's, you're kind of at a good place now. So that's how this works. That is what I recommend. And this is a safe way of moving through Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow Quadrant. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is Aaron, listen, I want to make some money. That sounds good to me. How do I get started with that? I've started over a dozen businesses. I've started some businesses that haven't done so well, like the restaurant, but I've started multiple businesses that have done $100,000 a year, if not more. And I've tried pretty much everything. We could talk for 20 minutes about all the different things I tried. Certain opportunities, though, have better results and lower risk than other opportunities. So what I wanted to do is I put together a report for anyone that's interested in risk-free ways they can start using to start making money now. If you actually look in the description, so if you're on your cell phone or on the computer, if you open up the description, there's a link where I have a free report that's going to reveal 3 ways you can use to start making $100 a day online fast. Each of the 3 ways are 100% free to do. There's nothing you have to sign up for. There's no recruiting. There's no selling. It's not like a multi-level marketing company or anything silly like that. These ways are actually kind of new. These ways just kind of became available in the last handful of years, to be honest with you. You'll see if you decide to get the report. So anyway, you can literally have no experience. You don't need any experience. There's no qualifications, and you can pick and start using any of these 3 ways to start making money literally in the next 1 to 2 hours. So if that is any interest to you, again, if you in the description, it'll say like 3 ways to start making $100 a day online fast. If you click that link, you can get access to the free report. And in the free report, I'm going to share with you what each of these 3 ways are and how you can start using each of these 3 ways to literally start making money 100% for free, no experience. Now listen, I'm not saying you're going to make a gazillion dollars, okay? And you are going to have to do a little bit of work, but if you're willing to work a few hours a day, you can start using these methods to start making, some people are making actually a couple $100s a day doing it, but you can check all that out in the report in the description as well. So that's what I got for you guys. My name is Aaron Goldsten. That is the breakdown of the Cashflow Quadrant and the how I recommend moving through it in a safe and secure way so you can move through the quadrant without taking a lot of risk. If you like this video, if you got some value from it, feel free to give me a thumbs up, or subscribe to the channel, or check out some of the other free content that I have, because I'm all about teaching people how to skip the learning curve and increase their income, because that's what I've been trying to do for about 12 years. It took me a long time to figure out how to do it, because you got the elites at the top that kind of know the secrets, but they don't want to share it with people like us. So my goal is to kind of help those that have a desire to want to, make some money and, change their financial situation. I want to share with them the tools and the secrets and the strategies that do so. So that's what I got for you guys. My name is Aaron Goldsten, and you have a good day.